Welcome to another episode of Love Notes.
All nurses to the nurses station.
This is Taquita Love, a nurse and a comedian.
You think you could bring your brother the clear machine home? You know, the reviver.
And I'm talking to my funny friends about medical mishaps.
Clear!
You are listening to Love
You've
Notes.
seen her on Conan, Netflix, HBO. She's a writer. She does it all. She's from my hometown, Chicago, and she just released her first 1 hour special called Girl Daddy. You guys welcome Beth Stelling. Woo! Fake noise. But no, so thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
I know we kind of sprinkled into some of the things that you've done, writing, stand up, of course. You mentor people via Instagram because you mentor me a little bit.
The improv lab, probably. When I first saw you do stand up, and I was blown away. I was like, you're so funny. I'd never seen you
Thank you.
before. And
Mhm.
yeah, you're just so unique and naturally funny, and you had great jokes.
Oh, thank
Yeah, so we
you.
met there, and then I think I said something to you that night, like, hey, nice to meet you. And then maybe you're right. Maybe we haven't seen each other since.
I still work as a nurse, and I've been working in research the whole pandemic. So while everybody's like, oh, I'm not busy, I don't have nothing to do, I'm bored, I've been working.
You're like over here, like, I'm trying to find the cure, bitch.
I've still been nonstop.
Yeah, you really have been. And not to mention, it's not like, I mean, I can't speak for you, but to me, from my perspective, it doesn't seem like easy work that you're just like going into autopilot. You know, it's not just like, am I wrong?
The
These
improv
clinical,
lab, probably.
like
When I
your
first saw you do
work
stand
doesn't
up,
feel
and
like probably
I was
intense.
blown away.
Yeah,
I was
because
like,
you're
it's
so
literally,
funny.
I
I'd
think
never seen you
there's this
before.
element of life or
And
death when it comes
yeah, you're just
to
so
like the
unique
pandemic.
and Yes, naturally that's funny, and stressful. you had great
I signed
jokes.
up to do this
Oh, thank
part
you.
part
Yeah,
of my
so we
life as a
met
nurse.
there, and then I think I
It's just
said
something
something
that
to
we
you that
do.
night, like,
Yeah.
hey, nice to meet you. And
Yeah, and you
Mhm.
trained
And
to
then
do it.
maybe
You're
you're right. Maybe
prepared.
we
So I
haven't
guess
seen
that
each
probably
other
eases.
since. So from
And I'm
my
just
end,
like,
it would
this
stress
girl is
me out,
dope.
but you're
Like
prepared
I
and
know that you're
knowledgeable.
from Chicago.
There was
Are
still
you from
stress.
Chicago?
Yeah.
But the part of me that does stand up and that release and the therapeutic part of like being an entertainer and a creator, that buffers me. That kind of keeps me equal.
Oh, yeah. And I think too, there's an important element of it in remaining in touch with humans, humanity. You know, yes, we're in a, you know, very different time right now, even in regard to human contact and energy exchange. But by, you know, you hear sometimes a lot of comics or people like, I want to be a comic. Like, I've seen this now over the last, because I've been doing stand up for about 13 years,
Mhm.
which is a long time. And then also, you and I both know people who have been doing it for like 27, 30, and it's like, it's nothing.
Right.
But you know, I think along the way, I've heard sometimes people like lawyers, I'm gonna quit my job and be a comic. It's like, are you stupid? Like, I worked like 3 jobs to become a comic, and sometimes I missed those jobs because I felt more productive while I was doing all those other things and doing the stand up at night. It's like, stay in your job as long as you can, if not forever. Like, in my opinion, at least, like, you should remain in touch with an audience, the people who come to see you. I think sometimes that's why these, you know, rich millionaire comics become like slide into obsolescence because I mean, I don't know if you've seen it before, but when comics get up on stage and they're like talking like I don't know about things that an audience can't relate to. Like my G-Wagon's so dirty. It's like, "What? Shut the fuck up. No one can relate to this."
I actually had Sean Grant was on my podcast, and he said so. He's from Miami, and he said something to me about the fact that I was never homeless. We had this like joke: if you ain't slept in your car, you know, then you ain't no real comic. God didn't tell me that.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that. Mostly because it's like, yes, of course I've this, you know, I sometimes have resentment towards comics that, you know, grew up rich, that come from families that allow them to just enter the industry pretty seamlessly.
Mhm.
So, but I agree with you in the sense that it's like, um, you know, Oh, I was actually thinking of that this morning. It's like, how long can poor and depressed be your personality? Like, I would be working my buns off in Chicago. Thankfully I had like, I was in food service and childcare, and yeah, those were my jobs in Chicago. And it's like, um, tiring, but grateful to have those types of jobs where I'm not having to like do something I absolutely hate. And I would go then to shows at night or open mics and hear comics like, typically it was, sorry to be sexist, but like dude comics, like, I'm so poor and I'm tired and I'm just smoking cigarettes and drinking every night. It's like, you get a job. Like, it sounds like you quit your other job too soon and you're not a full-time comedian. Like, get a job. Why? I don't want to, I didn't come here to hear you whine about how poor and sad you are. Like, it just always bothered me. I'm
Yeah.
just like, do the work that you need to do to get there, is it just how I feel. And I
Yeah.
was also willing, like, maybe what you're saying, which is, because like it's not that they couldn't get a job.
It's like
Just,
they're able and capable.
yeah. I mean, of course, I know some people who probably couldn't, but like, LA open mics are very different than Chicago open mics. LA open mics sometimes feel like people have just wandered off the street and need to spew hate speech.
Sometimes that is the case.
This is like when we're like, we need an HR stat. Yeah.
People are like, when are you going to quit nursing? I'm like, when comedy makes me quit.
Yeah.
I like stability.
Same. Like, you get used to a certain lifestyle, even if that's just that you like to go out to eat a couple of times a week or get your nails done or whatever it is. Like, mine is just more like, I've never lived any sort of like lavish lifestyle, but there's certain things that you like to have, like to not stress about.
Like
So
toilet paper.
what's that?
Like toilet paper and basic
Yeah.
like,
Exactly. Because then why would you stress the thing you love?
yeah.
Like, you don't want to be putting that desperation on comedy. Like,
The other thing is that, like a lot of my material comes from living life.
mhm,
Having a regular life kind of keeps me a little bit more connected, and I think it's a benefit for me.
definitely. I agree.
And have the problems of like, oh, they piss me off at work. Oh, this girl keep getting on my nerves. I think
Mm.
every job has the same people that piss you off or make you want to, curse somebody out. It's just a different location. We're not exempt from it.
100%. And also too, it's like, I my career, I led me into TV writing, and I think that's also part of, like, it really does bleed into that, because you don't you can see it in TV sometimes where you're like, wait, this person's job is on set Hollywood tutor? Like, who's relating to that? I feel like, you want to bring your life knowledge to, if you were to write for a TV show or head in that direction in your career or something, which, want is different than being able to do it. It's obviously difficult to break into TV writing, but that having your unique perspective is exactly what shows need.
Exactly. And yeah, I'm just like, you need a nurse? That's funny.
It's important to, like, I don't know, when I saw you and I thought you were so funny, it's like, I believe it's important to tell those people that, because look, there's a lot of, I mean, in some ways, of course, comedy is going to be like someone's opinion. Like, that's the one weird thing I think about often, which is everyone understands that in music you have taste, but no one understands that in comedy. It's like, "You're not funny," or "You're so funny." It's like, part of me sometimes feels like writing on all my bios, like, "Not for everyone." Because it's like, I might not be for you, and that's fine. Like, get out of my comment section and mentions. It's like, I hate it. But I am thankful for, like, the group of people I've gathered over the years, Gathering fans is and friends along the way. It's like drops in a bucket most times, unless you have some sort of huge big break, but then you're exposed to millions of people. But in general, I feel great about, like, along the way. But anyway, I think it's important to tell people that they're funny because there's so many people trying to do it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I definitely agree with you on the fact that everybody's not for everybody.
Mhm.
There's a stigma sometimes, especially with being a Black woman. Like I
Yeah.
might not be what you think I should be because, I'm talking about my life as a nurse, and I got a dog that's like a kid.
I think you're right though about stereotypes in general, and oftentimes, you know, coming up in Chicago, like, look, also the North Side, not just women versus men stand up, which we were outnumbered for sure, but it was very segregated North Side, South Side. Like, I went down. Jokes and Notes is unfortunately closed. Did you ever get to perform
Mhm.
there?
Mary gave me a shot. I pulled the LA card. I'm like, I'm in
Yeah.
town from LA. I was very new, and she gave me a spot, and I ran the light.
By like a lot?
You know what? It was one of those things where I just didn't know any better.
Because I was like, I'm over here, like, I'm a rule follower, and so I lived in fear of running the light and pissing off Mary. But keep going.
Damon Williams came in. Jess Niche was hosting, and Jess Niche was like, "Okay, you got 7 minutes." And in my mind, I'm like, "Okay, I got a hot 7. I know what I'm gonna
Yes.
start with. I know what I'm gonna end with to make it tight, to make it call back, And maybe like
Yeah.
4 minutes in, I got the light, and I was just like, maybe they didn't turn the light off from the person before me because I got to finish these jokes. I got to do my big banger closer.
Right.
It was obvious that I was running the light because I got these looks from Just Niche as she was walking up to the stage. But I hadn't finished, and I think there was like a ego that I had to finish, and I just didn't know any better, I would say.
Yes.
And
I mean, like, that's I understand that feeling of, like, yeah, keep going. Sorry to
no, no,
interrupt.
yeah, then it was cool because I needed that lesson.
Right.
I made friends.
Okay, good.
It was just like one of those things where like, we see you going somewhere, sis, but this a guest spot.
Right, right. Yeah. But look, like you said, it was just it sounds like it wasn't some sort of horrible experience and they didn't, like, punish you. It was just a matter of a learning lesson. So, that's good.
I didn't like reading a book report on stage.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, like, too, there is something to be said about, like, there's a difference between performing on the north side of Chicago in some, like, hipster bar and going down to a black club on the south side, you know? So in my head, I was like a 22-year-old kid, and I don't know, I just felt like, well, I started when I was, yeah, about 22 down there, and I was there till I was, like, 26. But, Brian Babylon kinda took me under his wing, and he had a show called Bronzeville Coffee House, so I would go down and do that, and, I think it's just, like, one of those things where, uh, people always ask, like, "Do you change your act when you go to the middle of the country or when you go anywhere el" like, basically anytime you feel like, "I'm different."
Mhm.
And the answer for me is just like, "No."
Yeah.
Like, I just do my thing and hope it's accepted. And it was like, I also never felt like in Chicago I felt like I got good, but I can't I didn't feel like some sort of amazing comic, like I go and kill everywhere I go,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
I just felt like I got my confidence up. But,
Number one thing is the confidence. Like,
yeah, especially on a new stage, like, that's huge. That's something, like, I mean, I haven't done stand up now since March, but, like, that's a real thing still for me. Anytime I go to a new stage that I don't know in a town I haven't been in, I'm sometimes like, "Are they gonna like me?"
yeah.
You
Mhm.
know? Because you can get so comfortable in your local bars or your local clubs, but, um, anytime you go and do a new club or you're trying to, like, there's, like, an audition element, like, with you popping into Jokes and Notes, it's like you are an outsider and you kinda have to prove yourself a
Yes,
bit.
exactly. Yeah.
So,
I think I'm at the point now where, like you said, it's like you are who you are, and if you like me, then you like me. I think there's like a I don't give a fuck kind of stage, and the confidence that comes with like this is me,
right.
and if you don't like me, then okay, oh well, somebody likes me.
Yeah.
is like the game changer with confidence.
Yeah, because I mean, look, it's like they can smell fear and insecurity. And no matter where you are, I remember having to do hilarities in Cleveland pretty early. Like I was an early headliner, which is like, it's already hard enough, honestly, whenever that was years ago to headline as a woman. There's like really not, there's just, they are doing better now, but they don't headline as many women as they could or the numbers should like reflect. And I really did bomb all weekend. Like and that's 45 minutes of bombing and it hurts. And it's because those people weren't there to see me. I mean, like you can feel once you start getting fans and people who know what you do and your style come out to see you, you can feel the difference in the crowd. The percentage change, like the tide turns versus having to win over people who don't know what the heck you're doing and or having people there knowing what you're doing and it sort of catches on throughout the crowd. Like their laughter is contagious. Like, oh yeah, this is it. This is this style of comedy. Let's have fun. But like I told you, like there are certain places that sometimes I just get it in my head, like they won't like me. And like even I think when I went to Dallas the first time, I was like, oh God. It ended up being a great experience at Dallas Comedy House. I was blown away. Then I went back. Then I did Oklahoma City for the first time. I think it was maybe last April. And I felt the same. I was like, oh God, how's this going to go? And it's like, no matter where you are, there's people in that city that, I mean, need is probably a harsh word, but like there's people in that city that need you. Because I'm definitely more of a liberal person and I consider OKC to be not. So that's why I think I got it in my head. But there's gonna be people wherever city you go that need to hear what you have to say or want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, that's the point that you make. When I think about it, even for me in the nursing world, it's kind of like you, regardless of if you like me, there's something you will need, like whether it's medication or whether it's, to check your vitals. And
Yeah.
sometimes you like have to study or, just be aware of what you're walking into so you can know how to interact. That's
Yeah.
one thing that that I learned from being a nurse. It's kind of like I can't just be like, "Hey, I'm Taquita. Here's your shot." I have to
Right.
kind of like, do a little bit of foreplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now that you like me, now you're comfortable with me, then I can tell you, I can give you what I'm here to give you.
Exactly.
And
that sometimes, like you're saying, can just be open. That's why I always consider my opening line pretty, like, I just take care in considering how I'm going to open is all I'm saying, whatever city I'm in. And of course, like, cities love it. Like, the Sklar brothers are, like, at least from my knowledge, the best at it. They freaking get to a city, and they do have each other, so I like to blame that on why I'm so lazy. But they would get to a new city and write, like, 8 new minutes every time. And that's exactly what they love. I mean, people love to hear about themselves. But, like, if you did that, like, that's a piece of advice for all young comics when you start headlining. Get to the city and write jokes about them. And then one thing to consider, though, is you also don't want to be the comic that gets to the city and does the same joke everybody does.
all right, yeah, exactly.
Like if the Capitol building's got a red roof or something, you don't want to be like, oh, what do you guys, you don't want to draw out the one thing everybody meant. The other thing too is like, if you're bombing, like really to me, the only thing you can do is call it out. Yeah, you have to. Because look, I've powered through, and it's just hell.
It
For
is.
like,
Oh my God. I
don't power through.
where I did a corporate gig for the first time. Again, it was a new comedian thing. And
Yeah.
I literally did my jokes and I didn't, nobody cared what I was talking about. They were at the job dinner, and I didn't connect with the audience first. When I
Mm-hmm.
got off stage and went to the table with the other comedians that I was there with, I think it was Nika King, Sean Grant, Jesus Sepulveda. Nobody looked at me. Like all the comedians, like I bombed so bad that they were like,
Oh, hate that feeling.
and the first thing I said to the comics was, I wish I was Dorothy and I wish I could have clicked my heels and been somewhere else. And so now when I get people that's not feeling me. I'm like, y'all not feeling that joke, huh?
Yeah.
Then they like loosen up and like, okay, at least she keeping it real.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's like it's just calling it out. I've had corporates like that. I mean, yeah, one of my earliest bombs was with like it was me, Gufran Ali, and now I'm trying to remember the third comic. I feel bad I don't remember. But it was in Chicago.
Hmm.
I think it was the AKA alumni dinner.
Okay.
And I'm 22. I had a lot of jokes about being like chubby. And basically, like, those women didn't want to hear that at all. Obviously. Yeah. Just like, like, even one of the women came up to me afterwards and sort of like, what are you doing? She was just like, you're beautiful.
Okay.
Just leave it alone. But it felt like that. I had to do a half hour. I mean, that's hell. Just a half hour of like, because a lot of my stuff was self-deprecating,
Hmm.
and I did have some family stories and stuff like that, but that was the main takeaway. That was just like, being self-deprecating to myself,
Hmm.
to this mostly group of women that was just sort of like, no, that's not
Yeah, they love themselves. So I don't know why.
exactly. Yeah. So that was just like, yeah, I mean, that was like obviously a formative lesson. And I felt like the exact same feeling of like, I don't want to be here. I can't believe I just bombed. And not just for like freaking 10,
Mhm.
15. Like I was supposed to do a half hour. Thank God it wasn't 45 minutes, but I was a new comic. I remember they paid me, Gufran, and whoever else was with us. Again, I feel bad. But we split basically $1,000 three ways.
Okay.
So, because I remember the check being like 333 or something like
Hmm.
that. And I felt bad taking it.
Oh, me too.
Like that's how bad I bombed.
But you deserved it because some days you go to work and you have a good day and you have a bad day. You still should get paid.
Yeah, yeah. I think I was also just like what we were saying. Like you took a lesson away from it. I should have just called it out or whatever it was. I was just a young comic that shouldn't have been doing a half hour.
Well, I got so many stories where I shouldn't have been doing, but I did, and I'm happy I did it because, like, my cousin, his name is Jay Washington. Do you know him?
Oh, yeah.
He's from Chicago, and so when I became a new comedian, I met him. He took me on the road to Indiana, but that was on the road to me from Chicago because I was a new comic, and it was like, yeah, we do.
Oh, God, that's definitely on the road.
And
Yes.
I didn't bomb, but literally I opened up for him, and like it was in like a bar, like they were not feeling me.
Okay.
I was just like, because I was like, I'm done. But I had like 20 more minutes to do it. And it was like kind of throwing me to the
Yeah.
wolves,
Oh, yeah.
like my cousin who's been in the game for a long time and knows my style and was there to support me, but also he was getting ready to do his headlining,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like that parent that pushes the kid in the pool and then like you gotta swim or you
Yep.
die. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
and then I just started, I learned how to just interact with the audience.
Yeah, there's that too. I mean, I remember I didn't go on the like that is a road gig. I personally, when I was in Chicago, I didn't have a car, and yeah, I really didn't do a lot of like what they would call road gigs, and even to the extent of like you're joking about Indiana not being a road gig. I mean, I'm talking about like Joliet and Schaumburg. Like
Okay.
I didn't I didn't do well, if I could get a ride, I would, but I remember doing some biker bar in Joliet, and it's just like it kinda goes back to what we were talking about before, when it's a group of, like, people that you're not like,
Yeah.
and it feels like, I am freaking different than you, man. Like, a bunch of biker dudes sitting in the front row just, like, staring at you drinking their beer, like, well, it's not that like, of course, I want humor to be the great equalizer, but sometimes there's, like, shit I'm gonna talk about that's just, like, why would they relate to me eating dinner at CVS? Like, like, or like I was talking about earlier, me, giving myself a hard time for being chubby or something. I'm trying to think about what my other material was. I had a story about like losing my virginity to a water slide or something. It's like these guys are sitting there staring at me, and it's not like I felt unsafe or something, but like just intimidating bearded dudes. I just remember it feeling bad.
Well,
Speak like you seem to, like you were like the way you described it when you said I had like whatever you said, I was done talking. I was out of material, but I had 20 more minutes. You're just like, shit. I think I just have to cut this short, and I think we'll both be Isn't that weird, that time limit feeling? Because look, the truth is, at any point in time, we could have both just walked off stage. But like, there is a weird rule thing there's no rules in stand-up comedy, right? Yet everyone adheres to these parameters, which is go up on stage and talk into a mic.
yeah.
And some people are more physical than others, but and it's kind of similar to the time limit. If somebody tells you to do this time, like you're like, I have to do it. But the truth is, like, no, you don't.
Yeah, you could be like,
But I just always did it as like a rule follower.
yeah. I think I learned later in life and in comedy that, like if I can get out on some kind of laugh, even if, during a bomb, then once I
Yeah.
get that laugh, it could be a sympathy laugh. It could be like a joke that worked, or it could be an interaction with the audience. Then it's like that's my out. Like if I know I ain't got nothing else.
Yeah. That's smart. Yep.
And so I learned that lesson too from, staying on stage too long. And it's just like, oh, you should have left 2 jokes ago because now
Yep.
they don't like you again.
It's almost like the way that I would leave. I should have been like, clap really loud if you want me to leave.
I
Thank
think
you.
that's a good one. This is like, you have had like a very successful career. And like I said, there have been times that you have, I like we communicate via like DMs or however, and it's
Yeah.
just like you would pour and motivate and like, hey, check this out, or I told somebody about you and I really appreciate all of that. But what has been the highlight of your career?
It's a good question. I guess like it would just have to be because sometimes it can feel so elusive, and um I guess the answer would be like my highlight is my latest hour
Yes.
special. I think it's so, because as you're getting some offers for like, the shorter sets for like, for laughs, or I think we talked a little bit about other like things coming your way that you're deciding on, but like, the sets tend to be in the 7 to 15
Yes.
range. And it's like then you work your way up to maybe you're going to do a half hour soon, like um so the hour, it's just such a feat. And then like on the other side of the coin, it's also become sort of trivialized by Netflix. Like of course Netflix has good hours on it,
Hmm.
but they've also made the world think that you can and should put out an hour per year. And I just think that's not the case for me personally. Like I'm all about putting out a special when it's special and you have something to say, and it's going to be very good.
Hmm.
And I just think we're seeing so much content, unfortunately it really waters down, I guess, the art of it. And I don't think I'm some sort of like like stand up some sort of high art and no one can do it. I don't mean it like that. It's just like, think about some of the greatest hours you've seen. They were like well crafted, well thought through, tried and true jokes, not just like a podcast with 3 jokes sprinkled throughout, you know? So I think some people are prolific and maybe they can put out an hour a year and that's just them. But I don't know. To me, I really took such care and like meticulousness in making it. So like that's probably why it feels like my proudest moment? Because also you're out of control for a while. You're kind of at the mercy of who's giving you these
Yeah.
opportunities. And I guess with an hour, it's your chance to just like, it's your words and what you choose to talk
Mhm.
about for an hour. Like maybe they have a heavy influence on where you record, or they push you towards a certain venue, or blankety blank. But when it comes to like what you wear, what you say, how you look, like that's all you. So it's like the closest you get to having full control over what you've been doing for the last, however many years you've been
That's
doing it.
dope. And I'm just, I mean, I watched your special girl daddy, and I mean, I love you in general, just like because you've been a nice person, you've been real, you have been like open, and like you've been like a comrade, and you just like a dope, super dope, cool person, like hands down. But then the talent on top of it just makes it like you were just like, I'm here, it's me. Like you talk to somebody in the audience, but it
Yeah,
was just
yeah,
like I think that's the part of connecting with people that, is always necessary. Like it's not just about
yeah,
you, because it's about, everybody. And like the way, I mean, I
yeah.
love your comedy, and I love the way you tell jokes, and the way you're just so confident with being yourself. It's just like I feel like the way you talk on stage is the way you talk in life, and like you just are who you are. Very
Thank you.
likable. And
It took a long time.
mhm,
It's hard to get to like, I feel like from the beginning of you as a stand-up to as you progress, for me it just felt like I was getting closer and closer to my personality. But it's odd that it takes work. You know what I mean? To just be you.
exactly. I learned just how much work it takes to be good, and also for you to stand out.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, like basically what you described of the club to club, and then, checking that, punching up, and then checking in with friends that you trust. And like, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of people I thank and at the end of my credits because I did run things by them and check in, and they were there for me or came and watched me and gave feedback. And ultimately it's always going to be up to me. Like, of course I had friends say like, well, what if or this doesn't link to that or this or that, and I'd be like, yeah, you're the ultimate decider, which is the cool
Yeah.
part. But I really, you as you grow as a comic, it's such a lone sport. But I've learned along the way too, it can only get better if you can run things past people you trust. I mean, the trust part is the main issue, because I think sometimes you've probably seen it. There's some bigger comics that might take jokes from young comics that are like, "Whoops, that's hack," or "Whoops, you didn't know that these younger comics are doing it better."
Yeah.
So that's another scary thing of getting too big is either you might have people write for you that give you shit that's recycled or being used, or just being used by comics they're not seeing because they're not in the thick of it.
Mhm.
So sometimes it feels like there is a sweet spot of being unknown and being original. And I'm not saying there aren't like huge comics that aren't, but it is a weird challenge. I mean, I was never I was like the type of comic who kept everything pretty much in my head. And in my notebooks, like, yeah, I'm going to write out the idea a little bit, but mostly the way was working on stuff was reorder set list, write in a couple tags or things I riffed. And then for this hour, I transcribed the whole thing. So it was in a Google Doc that was shared, and like some people came in late and helped me on that, worked or pitched things or even just gave the go ahead of confidence,
Yeah.
you know? Like or like I was over at Rami's and this Chicago, I don't know if you know him, Uzzer Usman, he's a Chicago guy. But
Doesn't matter.
we were just talking and I was kind of being me and just like ranting on some shit. And he was like, "Is this in the new hour?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "It should be." And that was 3 months before I taped, and I wrote like probably 10, 15 that went that go that's the f that is the from minute 10 in my special to probably minute 20, it's like that chunk.
Yeah.
And I have him to thank for just basically saying like, "That has to go in."
Yeah.
And so it's odd, like it does become more, it feels such a solitary thing. But once you reach a level where you're willing to trust some people to like give their input and guide you, that's when you realize it can be, you know, it can only be made better by people you trust or comics you trust.
I've learned that in life you want to say it's all you, but everything that I've accomplished, it's been somebody helped me in some way, whether it was motivation, maybe maybe it was a money for school, or if it was like I'm just coming to support your show.
Yep.
No one gets to the top without people around them to help them. But then, so everyone knows that my background is nursing and in the medical field. So I wanted to ask you, do you have any like unexpected trips to the emergency room that you have experienced?
You know, I have like I don't, knock on wood, I've never broken anything. I mean, I feel like I've broken a finger playing. I play field hockey,
Hmm.
and I've definitely, like, if you look at my fingers, it's like, oh, that was probably broken.
Oh, so you just don't go.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's actually like the motto of my life that I'm working on in therapy, which is like, you don't have to endure it, just leave. Or get help. Um, but yeah, I think potentially they're fingers wise, I've probably broken, but yeah, I'm trying to think of an emergency room visit.
When your finger was broke, then like how did you care for it? Like, did you just
So I put a little splint on it.
popsicle stick or
You
like
know, I think I took a trip to like after practice maybe or after the game to the school trainer, and I think I got a metal splint,
okay.
and then I just wrapped it in like that sticky type of gauze and just played, because you can hold the stick still with a straight first finger. It was my first finger on my left hand, and that's the top of the stick.
Okay.
So I just kept playing probably. And then I remember like a joke, because earliest jokes and audience I had was like my field hockey team.
Okay.
So, and then I would just make jokes about the finger and shush everybody with this huge finger.
So it seems to me like you just like you can take it and you just deal with it. And
Yeah.
it's like, I broke my baby toe and I had the same experience. Like
Yeah.
I was a teenager and I came home drunk and like the metal part of the bed, the frame part, and I just remember like bumping it into something, the rail, and my baby toe was broke, and I didn't feel the pain, of course, until in the morning because I was
Oh
drunk that
gosh,
night.
I bet that morning pain.
And my mom, like, she knew. The thing about my mom is like she knows, like when I lost my virginity, she knew, because I had an attitude around the house. She was like, "Oh, I know you do. I know you giving some." And I started to talk back like it's just crazy. But she knew. She was like, you came in here banging and bumping all around the house, last night. And my toe was like about to fall off my foot. And I did a popsicle splint. Like I did like the generic, like, the popsicle stick and wrapped it around with like some paper towel and like very hood ghetto, like scotch tape. And it healed on its own. I think that's when I knew I was gonna be a nurse because I was like, I got this. I can.
You're like, I healed myself.
It's like, yo, put my skills to work. Um,
I
and
love
then,
it.
do you do like any like remedies or anything? Because I know now during the quarantine, like people are all on these like super herbs, super
Yes.
vitamins. Are you one of those?
So I've definitely had vitamin kicks, but I'm nothing crazy. I currently I was texting with my friend Hugh, and he was like, "Well, are you taking any vitamins?" And I was like, "I just started on these." It was like Metamucil 3-in-1, and he's like, "Are
Oh,
you just shitting
that's
all the
God.
time?" And I was like, "Honestly, no. Is that bad that I'm not?" I
Yeah, you don't.
don't
What?
know if it's done anything to me, quite frankly. I just
Wait a minute. Wait, back up. You just hold on. Stop for 1 second. You take Metamucil?
I just started, like, I don't even know, a week or 2 ago, taking these Metamucil capsules that said on them, it said fiber and then put 3-in-1 for, like, digestive stuff. But,
Okay.
like, I wasn't having necessarily any horrible problems either way. Like, it wasn't like constant shitting or constipation.
Like, what made you say Metamucil? What was it like? Was it the 3-in-1 or?
Yeah, the 3-in-1 got me, and there was a bargain. Yeah, it was like a lot of capsules for $27.
Oh my God, I don't
Um,
even know where to go with that. It's kind of don't have a reason. I mean, unless you have constipation, you really
no.
don't have a reason for that. Or maybe I'm missing something. Probably should look it up and see.
Maybe I should look it up and see. I felt like really tired after I started taking them, but then I can't tell if that's just my hormonal cycle that caught me at the same time, or that we have bad air quality, or that we've been stuck inside for 10 months, essentially.
It's probably all of it.
Yeah. But I was trying to think of anything other vitamin-wise I take.
Do you, so it made you tired.
Maybe.
Okay.
I feel like I should be taking advantage more of my time with a nurse and asking all the questions that I have about.
I discovered something called cramp bark during this pandemic. Um,
Really?
and it is literally, I have horrible cramps on my time of the month, like really bad. And somebody suggested it, and it's I don't even know what's in it. It has alcohol, some concentration. But when I tell you, like it literally, like it made the cramps very easy, like to deal with.
Whoa. Is it oral or topical?
It, it's oral. It's like it's like a dropper, like like the old school Tylenol, like when you drop the little drops.
Okay, so
Um,
what's it called? I'm writing it down.
it's called cramp bark.
Okay.
And when I tell you, like, I used to not be able to function during my cycle, like on the first day,
Yeah.
because I was in so much pain. And now, like, I'm smiling, like I'm walking around the house
Oh
on
my God.
because of this. And
I'm
I
gonna
don't
look it up.
I'm scared to know what else is in it, but all I know is because I'm like, if it's some BS, and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna stop taking it because it works. That's the thing. That's like I found. I told my doctor because he's like, oh, you want to do birth control pills that makes it less. I'm just like, look, I'm taking something. I don't want to put nothing in the mix. It works, and he's like, okay. I'm just like, I don't
Right.
know. If they say it help, and that's I don't. It's like if I know more, then
You look
but
on
if
the label and it's just like Oxycontin.
it's like, you know what? It's cramp bark to me, doc.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up. Oh, the thing I got into, because like I'm always struggling with my acne, so actually I was considering about to start on Yaz just to try that because I'm not on birth control, and I was like maybe that'll help my face. But my mom got me into. I'm sure you probably have heard of it, but it's called Hibby Cleanse.
I haven't.
It's basically like to me, if I had to compare it to anything, I think it's like antibacterial, like betadine.
Okay,
And
it's
so,
rare.
like, my mom was like, "Why don't you," since it's antibacterial, she was like, "Why don't you try it on your face?" And it's pink. Anyway, so I've been trying to put some little drops on my acne on my face, but that's the only other weird home remedy thing I've been trying, I suppose.
But did it work? Does it like
If anything, it kind of like because here's the thing, I mean, I know you're not a dermatologist either, but you have like this medical knowledge. Like some people will say, like, oh, acne is topical and bacteria or whatever, whereas other people will say no. Everybody has an opinion on it. It's like, oh, what you eat will inform how your face reacts, or it's hormonal, or all these things. And I think it's always going to be a combination because of all those things. Because I've noticed my face acts up when I was eating meat, and then it felt like it was clear when I went vegetarian. But like, it's also hard to tell because it fluctuates so hard with my cycle. So anyway, I'm usually willing to kind of try anything, except for one time I looked at this article that was like use pee on your face. I was like, I'm good.
oh girl, you don't want to hear the pee stories because no, some people would drink urine
Oh no.
for like cancer patients. And this some articles I read, and just hearing what people will do anything like to try to be healthy. And I
Yep.
can't remember where I heard that or read it, but it was like somebody was drinking their own pee
Oh my
to.
gosh, I think it wasn't it I think I remember reading that and it was like about a featherweight boxer
Oh,
drinking
oh,
his own pee. But I'm sure he's not the only one. There's no way.
yeah. Oh, okay. Uh, I'm, I, I'm not grossed out about a lot, but drinking your own piss is something I'm just like, you know
Yeah, I'm
what?
not. I'm good.
You know what? Swallow a whole egg, to whatever you need to do, but piss? No, thank you. I want to tell you one. Apple cider vinegar is something that I adapted to too. My sister's like apple cider vinegar for everything, and literally, like when my face breaks out, I do put it. Please don't do it. And then if something happens,
Yeah, you'll feel bad.
that
Okay,
it
wait. Do you take a shot of it or you put it on the face?
I literally like cotton ball it and put it on my blemishes.
Look, I'm willing to try it.
Don't do it when you got somewhere to go because I don't.
No, I know, I won't. I actually
That's
already have some because when we were writing on the last OG, Keenan Ivory Wayans got us on it, or at least me, and I think maybe somebody else from the writers' room got some too.
okay.
Because he was
It's
like trying. He looks. I mean, I swear he drank from the fountain of youth. He's the oldest of everyone, and he looks like he's ceased to age. He's like perfect looking. I swear that his closet is filled with just like brand new, beautiful clothing for every day. I'm like, have you ever spilled on yourself? He's like,
there was some meme. I don't know if it was on purpose or not when he was on a Zoom, and then he stood up and didn't have.
yes, yes, I saw that.
Yeah, he looked young, the whole way through on that.
Yes, he's freaking. I mean, first of all, I'm just happy I got to work with him because he's like, freaking legend. He's a legend. Yes, and so I'm like, whatever. It's like that's a career highlight. Speaking of earlier question, just
Yeah,
like getting to like be near him, learn from him, and take his apple cider vinegar tips.
yeah.
But he was
Well,
taking shots of it because he was like feeling like a cold coming on.
yeah, I do that too. Zinc too.
Yeah.
Zinc like pills when you feel it. If you're sick and you take zinc, it don't work. But if you're feeling like you're getting sick, something
Okay.
about it, I think it helps like fight something. But those are my little remedies and my little tricks.
I'm
Um
taking the cramp bark.
I'll text you it's like literally on Amazon for like $12 or something.
Okay. Yeah. Text me that
Um
link.
but yeah, so that's pretty much the show.
I loved it. It was fun.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Of course. Spencer.
So I know that you have an hour special out now. Where could my listeners find you? And I know you have a podcast with your mom.
Yes, yes. I've got a podcast with my mom. It's called We Called Your Mom.
Mhm,
And it's just me and my mom calling people's mom, like my friends' moms,
mhm,
and hearing about what they were like as a kid, comedians and artists. Like, I'm trying to think of some of the people we've had on. Jonathan Van Ness from Queer Eye. We talked to his mom, Mary. Maria Bamford's mom, Marilyn.
oh,
Um, Sam Richardson. He's like a friend, Chicago guy, actor.
Second City.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And he was in Veep, and I guess we finally worked together on Good Boys. He played the cop in Good Boys. Um, anyway, yes, the list goes on, but we just talked to their moms and what they were like as kids. They did a
Oh,
couple animations that were really cute.
okay.
Anyway, sorry, that was a long tangent.
No,
But I'm just, yeah, BethStelling.com. And if you want to watch my new special, Girl Daddy, you can go either if you have HBO Max already, that's great. You should be able to find it on there. And if not, HBOMax.com and do the free trial and set a timer and remember to cancel.